Hi, I'm Renée with EngageLaw. I work with business owners and leaders who want to protect their companies while treating people fairly, especially when it comes to hiring, managing, and sometimes having to part ways with employees. Today, I want to talk about a new important Illinois law that went into effect on January 1st, 2026, that changes the way employers use confidentiality provisions in severance and settlement agreements. If you use severance agreements when terminating employees, or think you may need to, this law affects you. Illinois amended its Workplace Transparency Act through House Bill 3638. The big shift? If you want a former employee to keep a severance agreement confidential and ensure that employee does not make disparaging statements about its employer, you now need to provide separate, bargain-for compensation specifically for the confidentiality itself. That means you can no longer bundle confidentiality into a severance package. It has its own price tag, and it must be negotiated. This change was designed to make sure confidentiality isn't automatically forced on employees, especially in situations involving potential unlawful workplace practices. Under this new law, confidentiality works very differently. First, it's no longer automatic. If an employer wants confidentiality, it has to be negotiated, and it has to be paid for separately. Second, confidentiality can't be used to silence employees. An employee still has the right to report unlawful workplace conduct. They still have the right to participate in investigations, cooperate within government agencies, and testify if required. And third, confidentiality can't interfere with protected workplace activity. Employees still have the right to talk about working conditions, and they have the right to engage in collective activity. So here's the big takeaway. Confidentiality is still allowed, but it's limited, and it has to be intentional. Here's how this is showing up in real businesses. A lot of employers use severance templates they've had for years, and confidentiality is typically included by default. Under the new law, that approach no longer works. What I'm doing with my clients now is restructuring those agreements. One part of the agreement covers severance pay. That's the compensation for releasing claims. Then there's a separate discussion about confidentiality. Does the employee want it? And if so, what compensation is being offered? This doesn't have to make the process harder, but it does require more clarity and more intention. Because in 2026, confidentiality is no longer assumed. It's a choice, and it comes with a cost. Here's how to prepare. First, review your current severance and settlement templates. Most will need updating. Then, add separate confidentiality consideration if you want confidentiality. Make sure to document the employee's preference about confidentiality. Add clear processes for reporting unlawful activity, participating in investigations, testifying, and concerted activity. Finally, train your leadership and HR on these new rules so these agreements aren't offered incorrectly. The more intentionally you update now, the smoother your transitions will be in 2026. For employees, this law helps ensure they aren't pressured into silence. For employers, it provides clarity and reduces the risk of entering into unenforceable agreements or facing claims for improper restrictions. It also encourages cleaner, more transparent negotiations. When both sides know confidentiality requires compensation, there's less confusion and better outcomes. At the end of the day, severance agreements are meant to bring closure, not risk. This new Illinois law ensures confidentiality is voluntary, intentional, and compensated appropriately. But it also means many severance agreements need to be updated. If you'd like help reviewing your severance templates, updating your policies, or getting your business ready for these 2026 changes, I'm here to support you. Let's talk about what you have in place now and what needs to shift so you stay compliant and protected.